I got shot fired. Damn. No. He's still up. Hit him. Erie County was priority call 711 Highland for an officer. Where you at? Hold it down there. I'm in the rig. Check on G.
Well, a new report conducted by Michigan's Auditor General reveals that the Michigan Department of Transportation has established a pattern of underestimating the cost of road projects. That study also identified problems when it comes to negotiating contracts. Our political reporter, Rachel Louise Just, tells us what that could mean for MDOT's future and upcoming road projects.
A review of 4 dozen contracts by the Auditor General found MDOT underestimated the price of its contracts in at least 20 cases. In those cases, hours and costs were at least 10% higher than MDOT said they would be. The sample of contracts the Auditor General's office reviewed totaled $36 million and spanned 2 administrations from 2017 to 2020.
The point for all these audits is to find weak points. That's their job, and that's what they do so that we can get better. And I think MDOT officials acknowledge that.
MDOT agreed with the findings in the audit, and an official tells me they may now have to push planned projects down the road.
Yeah, at some point, the 5-year plan will probably have to be adjusted, and MDOT will have to reprioritize what's the most important thing to do. But these bidding discrepancies are not going to influence the program in terms of cutting projects or having to go back and make decisions about which ones don't get done.
The department says it will address the issues with more training and better communication. Now, lawmakers in charge of MDOT's budget are trying to figure out next steps.
I try to review each of the cases individually, so I need to follow up with MDOT to see what they've done to correct that.
Senator Jim Stamas, chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, says there's one thing in the audit he's glad to see MDOT do.
I certainly think that it was a positive step on the leadership to acknowledge the problem and put forward that they will be finding ways to address it instead of fighting the findings.
Representative Sarah Leitner, a member of the House Appropriations Committee, says the problems need to be rooted out from the top.
I think there should be pressure put on the governor to at least, step in and talk to her department heads and, say, hey, what's going on? We are failing the people of Michigan.
We've seen them, and so have many other drivers. Decapitated deer are showing up on the sides of some local roads. We warn you, some may find the video in this story disturbing. News Channel 3's Chris Hugh is joining us live in studio to explain why this is happening. Chris.
Yeah, Tricia, when our crew was driving just north of Three Rivers, they found 4 headless deer carcasses on the sides of a single road. Now, people on social media reported seeing the same thing in Vicksburg and other areas. So we asked the Department of Natural Resources why. We're months removed from deer hunting season, but someone's been removing the heads of these dead deer. Along Heimbach Road near Three Rivers, we found 4 headless deer within a few hundred feet of each other. Department of Natural Resources Conservation Officer Carter Woodwike explains a likely reason.
It's generally a strong possibility that our wildlife division is doing some kind of chronic wasting disease or tuberculosis disease testing in the free-ranging wild deer herd.
Testing requires removing the head because chronic wasting disease affects the brain. If a deer is infected, it is always fatal.
They have an initiative that's focused within the area of Kalamazoo and Allegan and Branch counties, which would kind of explain the deer you were locating down there by Three Rivers and Vicksburg.
Woodwike says there are also other possible reasons for seeing headless deer.
If there was an antlered deer that was hit by a car, any passerby could acquire the antlers or the entire carcass of that deer through the salvage permit process.
Or a headless deer could be the result of poaching. However, that's unlikely the reason this time of year.
A lot of the bucks antlered deer won't have antlers at this point. They lose them in in the winter and then start growing them back in the spring.
Now, during deer hunting season, another reason why we could see headless deer is because hunters may decide to remove the head to keep the antlers, but leave the carcass. They will then be charged for illegal dumping under the litter laws. As for deer carcasses themselves, sometimes local road commission will remove them, but mostly they are likely left to decompose.